The four horsemen of the apocalypse. Revelation 6:1-2, I watched as the Lamb opened the first of the 7 seals. I looked, and there before me was a white horse. Its rider held a bow, and he was given a crown, and he rode out as a conqueror bent on conquest. The white horse. The first horse, a white one, seems bent on conquest, Revelation 6:2. Its rider wears a crown and holds a bow. Some people have attributed the rider of this horse as the person of Jesus, as later in Revelation 19 Jesus rides a white horse. However, others have said this is the Antichrist. The Antichrist does try to mimic works the Messiah can do, such as miracles, 2 Thessalonians 2:9, and he seems bent on conquering the world. The first seal opens at the beginning of the final 7-year tribulation leading up to the second coming. The white horse and rider represent 3.5 years of peace followed by 3.5 years of war represented by the bow. The Antichrist is the first of God's judgments on a Christ-rejecting world. He who claims to be a savior is really a Trojan horse. Revelation 12:9. The great dragon was hurled down, that ancient serpent called the devil, or Satan, who leads the whole world astray. He was hurled to the earth, and his angels with him. The world is in a dark age, controlled by Lucifer. The rider on the red horse. Revelation 6:3-4, when the Lamb opened the second seal. Another horse came out, a fiery red one. Its rider was given power to take peace from the earth and to make men slay each other. To him was given a large sword. The next horse, a fiery red one, takes peace from the earth, Revelation 6:4. He carries a large sword, and blatantly represents war and violence. This makes sense to follow after the conquest-driven horse and rider. Conquest often leads to war. The Antichrist will seek to wage physical war as well as spiritual war. Take, for instance, the abomination of desolation he will place in the temple, after the 3.5 years of peace, Daniel 9:27. He will take the lives of many in a physical and spiritual sense. Although many wars have ravaged the earth's history, none will quite wreak as much destruction as those that occur in the end times. The First World War left an estimated 16 million soldiers and civilians dead and countless others physically and psychologically wounded. Over 30 nations declared war between 1914 and 1918. The war also forever altered the world's social and political landscape. It accelerated changes in attitudes towards gender and class and led to the collapse of the Russian, Austro-Hungarian and Ottoman empires. The cost of waging total war, and of rebuilding afterwards, ravaged the national economies of both the victorious European allies and the defeated Central Powers. World War II, also called Second World War, conflict that involved virtually every part of the world during the years 1939 to 45. The 40 million to 50 million deaths incurred in World War II make it the bloodiest conflict, as well as the largest war, in history. Matthew 24:7, For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines, and pestilences, and earthquakes, in divers places. The Black Horse. Revelation 6:5-6, when the Lamb opened the third seal. I looked, and there before me was a black horse. Its rider was holding a pair of scales in his hand, saying, A quart of wheat for a day's wages, and 3 quarts of barley for a day's wages, and do not damage the oil and the wine. Some scholars attribute this famine to the wars that occurred before it. Throughout history, those who tend to farm and contribute to food supplies yield such duties to fight in wars. Because of this, the food supplies suffer, and entire civilizations collapse. The black horse represents famine. It takes an entire day's wages just to buy a quart of wheat. Balances reveal scarcity. Americans don't worry about the availability of food in times of plenty. In these future days the price of food will skyrocket while millions have no access to. For worldwide famine is not hard to imagine. Witness it now in Central and Eastern Africa. In the event of serious crop failure, no part of the world is more than 1 year away from critical starvation, and the rich US is only 2 years away. 2 Timothy 3:1-5, but understand this, that in the last days there will come times of difficulty. For people will be lovers of self, lovers of money, proud, arrogant, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, heartless, unappeasable, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not loving good, treacherous, reckless, swollen with conceit, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, having the appearance of godliness, but denying its power. Avoid such people. The pale horse. Revelation 6:7-8. And I looked, and there before me was a pale horse. Its rider was named Death, and Hades was following close behind him. They were given power over a fourth of the earth to kill by sword, famine and plague, and by the wild beasts of the earth. Naturally, when food supplies dwindle and wars break out, death follows. The pale horse has the power of famine, plague, and to kill by sword and by the wild beasts. Revelation 6:8. Sickness and famine often break out as a result of warfare, and this horse stands as no exception. 1/4 of the people on earth die. Currently, that's about 2 billion people. This is an incredible amount of death. It's estimated that only 100 million have died in all of the wars on earth to date. All the horsemen appear to have power over a fourth of the earth, and surprisingly, are not the most devastating of judgments to come upon earth in the end times. Trumpets, thunders, seals, and other catastrophic events will follow. Christians, during the end times, will experience these horsemen. They will know death, disease, famine, and many trials. The Antichrist after all will cut off food supplies from those who do not have the mark of the beast, Revelation 13:16-17, and he will kill and persecute many followers of Christ. The law of attraction. Neurologists know visualization creates a better future. Scientists working at the Wellcome Trust Center for Neuroimaging at the Institute of Neurology in London have discovered that people who visualize a better future are more likely to be able to bring that future into existence. This, of course, is just what the law of attraction tells us. It says that daily, vivid mental images of a better life help to draw that life towards us. In the publication documenting their findings, the neurologists wrote, "The ability to construct a hypothetical scenario in one's imagination prior to it actually occurring may afford greater accuracy in predicting its eventual outcome." Psychologists support the use of affirmations. Affirmations, another key tool in the law of attraction arsenal, are also well supported in the psychological literature. For example, one researcher at the University of Exeter has published on constructive repetitive thought. They found that people who consistently tell themselves that they can meet a goal are more likely to secure a positive outcome. Affirmations are proven to help with recovery from trauma, improve anticipatory planning, aid treatment for depression, and boost physical health. Mirror neurons help to explain the spread of good vibrations. A large part of the law of attraction is learning how to be an open, happy person who vibrates on a high frequency and induces a positive response in others. The way in which we spread good attitudes toward other people and attract kindness, generosity, and success can be partly explained with reference to mirror neurons, neurons that mirror the behavior we observe. In other words, when someone sees you radiating positivity, this same response is mirrored in the brain of the observer. This can draw them to act positively towards you as well. Meanwhile, studies on the amygdala, the brain's emotional center, show that we induce feelings of fear and anxiety in others if we ourselves are fearful or anxious. This is further evidence to explain the law of attraction. Theorists claim that negative thinking can prevent success, well-being, love, and human connection.